All right, cluck cluck everybody. I promised I'd do at least one more video before Christmas, so here we are. And I also remembered my lapel mic this time. Hopefully the sound will be better. So anyway, I just thought we'd kind of talk about like some Christmas traditions and so forth, and just just really get into the spirit of Christmas. So I actually do, like, if I learn about a new tradition, I try to like incorporate it somehow. One of the ones that I really like to do is the Christmas pickle. For those of you who don't know, the Christmas pickle is basically like you get an ornament that looks like a pickle. It's green. It kind of blends in with the tree, right? So you put it up, and the person who finds it, well, it's different. I always have a special gift for the person who finds it, for them to open up. But typically, I think traditionally, the person who finds it gets to open the first gift on Christmas. So that's one of those traditions that I just really love. The only problem is people like will give up looking for it after like a couple minutes, and then a lot of times I'll forget where I put it. So when I'm taking down my tree, I end up like leaving it in, or not being able to find it. This year, I did something smart for once. I took a picture of where I put the pickle, so I won't forget it this year. My brother actually gave me the pickle. He found a really old one at a, I don't know if it was like a thrift store or something. He found it, and he gave it to me for my birthday one year, and I love it. I know exactly where it is this year. Like I said, I took a picture of it, and so far nobody has even really tried to look, but usually the looking happens closer to Christmas. So so that's one tradition that I love. It's a German tradition, I think, and I just love my Christmas pickle. Don't y'all clip that. I know what y'all call pickles around these YouTube streets. That is not what I'm talking about. One tradition when my boys were little that I really miss doing. They're not little anymore. I need some grandbabies to start this tradition. But every Friday night, back before there was like streaming and you just click on anything whenever you wanted, usually the Friday nights were when like some of the Christmas classic movies would come on. So we would pop a bunch of popcorn, and I'd make the fancy hot chocolate. All it was hot chocolate, and I'd swirl some whipped cream on top, swirl some chocolate syrup on top of the whipped cream, and sprinkle it with some cinnamon sugar. And so I'd make the fancy hot chocolate, and we'd eat popcorn, drink hot chocolate, and watch these movies. And I miss doing that. Now I just watch them. I still watch the movies, but it's not like a big thing with the boys and stuff. So I miss that. I need grandbabies. Give me some grandbabies so I can have Christmas movie nights. So that's one of those traditions that I love. I miss. Christmas lights. I love going to look at Christmas lights. There's one kind of close by. I mean, it's pretty close by. We haven't been to this year, so we might drive by there Friday evening on our way back from town, and maybe I'll get some video of that. But I love Christmas lights. When I was little, I mean, that's what we did at Christmas. On the weekend, we would just ride around looking at Christmas lights, and we'd count them. And I remember before, like, I could really count, for some reason 16 was a number that I knew. Like, I couldn't actually count to 16, but I knew that number. So as my older siblings were counting the Christmas lights, I'd just be like, 16, 16, 16. So every Christmas light was number 16. But I had two, they were right around from where I lived growing up, two displays that I absolutely loved. I had to go see every time. One was I'm pretty sure it was just like plywood cutouts of Santa and his 9 reindeer with Rudolph at the front. Had a nice glowing nose on Rudolph. And like I said, I'm pretty sure they're just cardboard, but they had like animatronics, so the reindeer's legs moved and Santa waved, and they had them like elevated on poles, which you couldn't see at night, but during the daytime you could tell they were on poles. So it looked like they were actually flying up in the air, and I loved that. I had to go see Rudolph. And then the second one was just kind of like around the corner from where we lived, and it was just this beautiful nativity scene. So I had to go see the baby Jesus. It really wasn't that special. It's just, you know, a nativity scene that was lit up and just really nice. And I had to go see the baby Jesus. Those were the two I had to see every year. And I actually went by there, I don't know, a few years ago. And they still do the Rudolph one. So I thought that was like really cool that they still do that. I don't know if the same person, I mean, I assume that if it's not the same person, it's one of their children that still live there and put it up every year. So that was nice. And that might have changed now. Like I said, it was a few years ago. But so that's actually some of my favorite Christmas memories, is going to look at Christmas lights with my family and counting them. Other traditions that we do, we do the where you get to open one gift on Christmas Eve. It was, when the boys were little, it was a nice way. Okay, you get to open your gift, you should go to sleep early, that sort of thing. I have this horrible story of one year when we did it. My middle son, who I call the problem child, he's not, honestly, when you see other children, he was a pretty good kid, but he was like my problem child. He was definitely the one that gave me the most problems. But the Christmas Eve that evening, because we were going to do the Christmas dinner the next day, but I always like to make something special on Christmas Eve too, so I'd made steaks. And he is not a steak fan of, he might be now, but like back then he just did not care for steaks. And he was also one of those kids that would start out each meal like, how many bites of this do I have to eat? How many bites of this do I have to eat? Because it was really hard to just get him to sit down and eat a meal. So I think he ate some of the other stuff, but he wouldn't even touch the steak. And I would say, you have to eat, I think I started out with like 5 bites. You have to eat 5 bites of that steak. He wouldn't do it. It got down to 1 bite. I was like, eat 1 bite of the steak and you can open your present. And he was like, oh, he was like crying and he was chewing it up. He chewed that steak up. It was like liquid in his mouth. All he had to do was swallow. It was gross, actually. And he's crying, please just let me open the present. We ended up letting him open the present without eating the steak, even though he had already chewed it up. All he had to do was swallow it. He would not do it. So that's actually like my horrible Christmas Eve memory of that. He was also the one that, like, growing up, how you always go, oh, if you're not good, Santa Claus isn't going to bring you a gift. And we told him that one time. He thought about it, and he was like, but I'm still getting your gifts, right? No, you're not getting any gifts if you're not good. And yeah, I actually would wrap empty boxes up and throw them in the fire if they did something bad. I'm like, that's one gift you lost, which some people might think I'm a horrible mom for that, but this kid was bad sometimes. And do y'all remember when y'all were little? I don't know if this probably isn't like around the world, but like in America, when you were little, you could call like a 1-900 number and talk to Santa. I used to do that, and my parents would get so mad because 900 numbers cost money. And I bet they got in a lot of trouble for that, because they would advertise the Christmas commercial, and they would say, ask your parents, but I'm sure that there were plenty of kids that didn't ask their parents like me, and would call this number to talk to Santa Claus. So one thing that y'all probably don't know about me is I believed in Santa Claus till way too long. I'll just say that. I'm not even going to tell an age where I was in middle school, and I think I was in like 8th grade. So I just, Santa Claus wrote me, we'd always write the letters to Santa, and Santa Claus wrote me back one year, and that was just like cemented in my brain. That means that there was definitely Santa Claus. And yeah, my youngest sister knew about Santa Claus before I did. And I was heartbroken. I was absolutely devastated. And I remember when my dad told me, I think I believed like a year after my dad actually told me, because I remember thinking, oh my God, why is he being so mean to me? Why is he telling me there's no Santa Claus? Like, I really, really thought that. Y'all could probably guess that about me. I'm kind of like one of those people that would believe in Santa Claus that long. But, I remember the year after he told me, you know how they do the weather reports and they're like, oh, Santa's on his way, you need to get to bed. And I remember being like, why would the news say that if there isn't a Santa? And my dad was just like, I remember him looking at me just dazed, like he could not believe I was fighting this hard for Santa. And I'm still devastated by it, to be honest. But you know what? It is what it is. I remember when it was time for my oldest to find out, I just kind of went to him and I was like, I pretty much had an idea that he knew. And I remember saying to him, do I really need to have a talk with you about Santa? And I think he was in 6th grade. And he was like, nah, pretty much no. I was like, okay. I was like, well, do you have any questions? He said, I do have one. How did we get the Wii that year? They got the Nintendo Wii from Santa Claus the year it came out, when nobody could get one. They were so sparingly. So only 2 or 3 were being shipped to stores. And when he asked me that, I was like, I sat in line all freaking night, the coldest night of the year, to get you that freaking Wii. I was like, and then I went to work, went the next day immediately from there after buying the Wii, and worked all day. And we had called around and we found out Walmart was getting like 3, the Walmart near us. We went there, we were number 3 in line. And I sat there all night, and the line was long, even though everybody knew that there was only 3, but they were just hoping that one of the first 3 would give up and go home. And I didn't. I knew I couldn't, because they had asked Santa Claus for that year. And I waited up all night in that line for them to go on sale at 8 o'clock that morning. And I was actually supposed to be at work at 8, but I'd already called and said, look, I'm going to be an hour late. I've got to get this. And so, yeah, that's how they got the Wii that year. But it was kind of nice to know that he actually appreciated it, and that that was like his one holdout on whether or not there was a Santa. So that was nice. I always tell little kids, you stop believing, you stop receiving. And so I still sort of believe in the back of my head, because every now and then I do get like a surprise, something that I thought there was no way I was ever going to get, and the only way possible is Santa brought it. So I still believe in the magic of Santa, I should say. So what else? I went way too long on that, sorry. More traditions. Let's see. When I was little, we actually used to go caroling. I have a fairly big family, my side of the family. So, like, all of us kids together make a band, pretty much, make a choir. So we'd actually go caroling, and not with any kind of official group. We would just go outside people's house and sing. They probably thought, oh my God, what the? But yeah, we did that. And one thing I always do, like this year, I got done with my Christmas crocheting just last week. And like I said, my side of the family is big. There's no way I can just buy for everybody. So I always make my gifts for them. Y'all know I made a lot of jelly this past years, and I do crocheting, and I make them like a goodie bag of homemade stuff. So that's what they get. Usually I might buy the kids in the family something, but all the adults get homemade gifts. Bless me, excuse me. So what are some other, I do so many Christmas traditions that they don't really seem like traditions. It's just like, I feel like they're part of everybody's Christmas and they're not, and I forget that. Last year, y'all went along with me as we hunted down mistletoe, and that's actually something we got to do this year still. But my husband's actually taking the week before Christmas off, so we'll probably go do some mistletoe hunting then. Now, we used to always do a love tree when the boys were young. Once I didn't have kids in the house, I did get an artificial tree, which is against everything I believe in. But it was just easier because, every year it was like me nagging my husband, we gotta go get a Christmas tree. Now I can just put it up whenever I'm ready. So there's that. That tradition has fallen to the wayside. When I do get grandkids, I will likely pick up that tradition again, because I do love real Christmas trees. I love the smell. One thing I don't love about it is I have cats, and they are definitely drawn more towards real Christmas trees than they are artificial Christmas trees. I don't really have a problem with them with my artificial. They don't care. But when I have a real one, they're coming up. They're like, oh my God, yes, you brought this in for me. This is just for me. That's what the cats think. But no, I'll probably start that again once I have some grandbabies. I think I'm sort of in that in-between stage right now where, my boys are older, and so a lot of the traditions that were fun to do with kids, really, it's hard, it's almost just not even worth doing. So I have to wait till I get some grandbabies. One thing I used to do, I've mentioned it before, my youngest son was diagnosed with autism fairly young, and he was one of those that would just stick things in his mouth a lot. So when they were young, I made a completely edible Christmas tree, other than the tree itself. I remember we had like 168 candy canes on the Christmas tree one year, and I counted them. And we do the cranberry and popcorn garland, and I even made an angel out of candy. I had like a peppermint swirl that I used for the skirt, and I put a peppermint as the head. I put a piece of butterscotch around for the halo, and 2 candy canes, the ends, I made the wings out of. And so that way, if he reached up and grabbed something to put in his mouth, it was fine. It was just candy, or popcorn or whatever. So that was actually a really fun tradition, and I don't do that now. But he got older and stopped putting things in his mouth. But that's some of my favorite trees were those trees, because we all did it as a family. Like the making the garland, that was always a family thing. So I guess a lot of my favorite traditions are just the ones that you do with family. I said do. So there's that. Let's see, as far as me and my husband's Christmas traditions, I don't know if I have any that I would say are just mine and his. We do usually do let's see, sometimes we'll make like a fairly big meal of all of our favorite foods, you know. Like, y'all know my favorite food is spaghetti. I love his spaghetti. So a lot of times we'll definitely have spaghetti and maybe a steak. Y'all remember the last meal in Signs where they just like pick their favorite things? We do that a lot. So, and when we do the mistletoe, that I would say that's one of our kind of traditions we started together. I remember buying my husband's first Christmas tree because when I said we did live Christmas trees, we would go out in the woods and find one, and usually it's a cedar. And we just couldn't find a nicely shaped Christmas tree the first year we were together. And we did eventually find a cedar, but it looked like I always called it the Christmas bush. I still call it the Christmas bush. Our first Christmas tree was a Christmas bush because it was just a big round cedar. But it was like the only one that we could find that was approximately the right size, so we got it and used it. What are y'all my favorite live Christmas tree is a white pine. I love them. The branches are a little bit flimsier, so you can't put heavy ornaments on it. But those are my favorite for a Christmas tree. Now, I know most people like firs, like Fraser firs or Douglas firs. Cedars, what we had growing up usually because they were free and right there, and we can go cut one. I hate a cedar though. Like the cedars, they smell great, but my gosh, they hurt so bad when you're decorating it. Oh, that's another tradition. All right, so, and people used to think I was horrible for this, but when the boys were little, we'd all decorate the tree, right? And as soon as they went to bed, I'd go redecorate it because like there'd be like a whole bunch right here, a whole bunch right here, and like not spread out. And I remember people being like, "Oh, that's so horrible! You move their ornaments." I'm like, it would be horrible if I did it in front of them. I waited till they went to bed. And then they woke up and they'd be like, "Oh, what a beautiful Christmas tree." And they thought they did it. I didn't tell them that I fixed it. But otherwise, we're going to have a bunch here, a bunch here, a bunch here. So that was a tradition of mine. Every night after the kids went to bed, after decorating the Christmas tree, I fixed it. I'm anal that way, okay? Things need to be nicely spaced out, or it's just going to drive me crazy, and I'm just going to be constantly thinking about it. I'm not OCD, but when it comes to a Christmas tree, I am. Like, that's got to be perfect. I'm going to be looking at that for close to a month. I want it perfect. All right, 23 minutes, going on 25. We did a nice Christmas talk. I've been asked to do, somebody asked for some recipes, and I've been told before that y'all like my cooking videos, so I may try to do some kind of cooking video Christmas-wise before then. Let's see. I've been trying to think of what, if y'all have suggestions, let me know, because I've been trying to think of what kind of like Christmassy meal y'all might want to learn how to make. One day, honestly, I would really like my husband to do his sauce for y'all, me filming it, and show y'all exactly like why I love it. I love his sauce. It's probably not authentic Italian, but it's as close as I'm probably going to get, and it's just so good. The problem with him is he doesn't do recipes. He goes on the fly and he does it. It's always good. Sometimes it's slightly different. Sometimes it's slightly different and better. Sometimes it's slightly different and not as good, but still good. So I'd really like to get him to make that one day on camera for everybody. So maybe since he's off next week, maybe I can talk him into it, because I wouldn't mind having some spaghetti. I love spaghetti. As I'm telling y'all, whenever I go on diets, I always reward myself with like 3 plates of huge, full of carbs, full of calories spaghetti, and which negates everything that I just did. So, cluck cluck everybody. Merry clucking Christmas!